You're lying in bed, again. It's 6 a.m. Your alarm screams, and for the third time this week, you hit snooze. Yesterday, you were so motivated. Today, nothing. This is Chapter 1, The Motivation Myth. Let me tell you about Sarah. Every January 1st, she'd wake up on fire. This year would be different. She'd finally exercise daily, eat clean, learn Spanish. She'd buy the gym membership, the meal prep containers, the Duolingo Premium. For exactly 9 days, she was unstoppable, a productivity machine. Then January 10th arrived. She woke up tired. Work was stressful. The couch looked comfortable. And just like that, the fire went out. By February, the gym membership was gathering dust, and she was back to ordering takeout. Sarah thought she was the problem, that she lacked discipline, that she was weak. But here's what Sarah didn't know. She was trying to build a house on quicksand. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are the most unreliable construction material in the universe. Neuroscience shows us that motivation is tied to our limbic system, the emotional center of our brain. It's designed to fluctuate wildly based on sleep, stress, blood sugar, whether someone cut you off in traffic or if it's raining outside. You're literally trying to build lifelong habits on a resource that changes by the hour. Imagine trying to drive across the country, but your fuel tank randomly empties itself. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's at 10%, sometimes it vanishes completely for no reason. That's motivation. You wouldn't plan a road trip like that. So why are you planning your life like that? And here's where it gets worse. Most people then turn to willpower as their backup plan. I'll just force myself, they say. But research from Roy Baumeister and others has shown that willpower is a depletable resource. It's like a battery that drains throughout the day. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every email you answer, it's all draining the same battery. By the time you get home and face that choice between the gym and the couch, your willpower battery is at 3%. And you're shocked when the couch wins. So let's get brutally honest. The entire self-help industry has sold you a lie. They've told you that you need to get motivated, stay motivated, find your why, visualize your dreams, and maintain burning desire. But that's like telling someone to feel happy forever, or to never feel tired again. It's not a strategy, it's a fantasy. The science is clear. Motivation is not a foundation. It's weather. Some days it's sunny, most days it's not. And if your entire system depends on perfect weather, you're going to fail. Not because you're weak, but because you built the wrong system. Sarah's problem wasn't Sarah. It was that she was playing a game that's statistically unwinnable. She was waiting for a feeling that neuroscience tells us is chemically impossible to sustain. The good news? There's a completely different approach. One that doesn't require motivation. One that works with your brain instead of against it. One that's so small, you can't say no. But first, you needed to understand why everything you've tried has failed. Because it's not you, it's the myth.
Imagine you're standing at the bottom of a massive staircase. 100 steps stretch upward into the clouds. Your brain looks at this and whispers, "Nope, not today." But what if I told you there's a hidden door right beside you? One tiny step that leads to the same destination. This is the secret your brain has been keeping from you, and it all happens in a walnut-sized cluster of cells called the basal ganglia. Let me tell you about Sarah. Every January 1st, she'd wake up fired up to run 5 miles a day. Day 1, crushed it. Day 2, her legs screamed. Day 3, she slept through her alarm. By day 7, she was back on the couch, drowning in guilt. Sarah wasn't weak, she was fighting against 3 billion years of evolution. You see, your brain has 2 systems. The prefrontal cortex, that's your willpower, your discipline, your let's do this voice. It's powerful but exhausting, like sprinting. Then there's the basal ganglia, your autopilot, your habit center. It runs on whispers of energy, like breathing. Here's where it gets fascinating. The basal ganglia doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about one thing, keeping you alive by conserving energy. When Sarah tried to run 5 miles, her prefrontal cortex was screaming, "Yes!" But her basal ganglia saw a threat. Big changes mean unpredictability. Unpredictability means danger. So it flooded her system with resistance, fatigue, excuses, that voice saying, "Maybe tomorrow." But the basal ganglia has a blind spot. It can't detect tiny movements. Think of your brain's resistance like a security guard at a fortress. If you try to charge through the main gate with trumpets blaring, "I'm gonna transform my entire life," the guard slams the door shut. But if you approach with one quiet step, so small it barely registers as change, the guard doesn't even look up. You slip right through. This is why many habits work when everything else fails. When you do one push-up, your basal ganglia yawns. That's it? Whatever. There's no resistance because there's no perceived threat. But here's the magic. You're still encoding a pattern. You're still creating a neural pathway. Every single repetition, no matter how small, strengthens the circuit. Do that one push-up for 30 days, and suddenly your basal ganglia recognizes it. Oh, this is what we do now. This is who we are. The pattern becomes automatic. The fortress guard, he's now waving you through without question. Researchers at MIT discovered that when a behavior becomes a true habit, your basal ganglia literally chunks it together, compresses it into a single automatic routine that requires almost no conscious effort. But this only happens when you repeat the behavior consistently without triggering resistance. Sarah eventually learned this. Instead of 5 miles, she committed to putting on her running shoes every day. That's it, just the shoes. Some days she'd put them on and sit back down. But most days, once those shoes were on, she'd think, well, I might as well step outside. Then, I might as well walk to the corner. 6 months later, she was running 4 times a week, not through willpower, but through a habit so deeply grooved into her basal ganglia that not running felt weird. Your brain will always resist the staircase, but it will never notice the single step. And that single step repeated will take you higher than motivation ever could. That's not a trick, that's neuroscience.
Sarah had tried to run every morning for 3 years. 3 years of setting her alarm for 5 a.m. 3 years of ambitious plans to jog 3 miles before work. And 3 years of hitting snooze, feeling like a failure by 5:01 a.m. Then one day, she changed her goal to something absurd. 1 push-up. Just 1. That's it. That's it. Her friend laughed. 1 push-up? What's the point? On day 1, Sarah did her 1 push-up. It felt ridiculous, but she'd won. On day 2, she did 1 push-up again, and then thought, well, I'm already down here, and did 5 more. By week 3, she wasn't just doing push-ups, she was doing full workouts. Not because she forced herself, but because she'd eliminated the only real enemy, the resistance to starting. This is the core strategy of mini habits, and it's stupidly simple. Make your goals so small that your brain can't find a reason to say no. Think about this. Your brain is designed to protect you from wasting energy. When you say, I'm going to run 3 miles, your brain calculates the effort, the discomfort, the time, and throws up a wall of resistance. It offers you every excuse. You're tired, it's cold outside, you can start tomorrow. But when you say, I'm going to put on my running shoes, something magical happens. Your brain looks at that task and goes, that's it. Okay, fine. There's no threat, no energy drain to fear. The wall of resistance never gets built. Here's the secret that changes everything. You're not trying to achieve something big. You're trying to eliminate the gap between intention and action. That gap is where all your failed goals live, in the space between wanting to do something and actually doing it. Mini habits make that gap disappear. Stephen Guise, the author, discovered this when he couldn't motivate himself to go to the gym. So he made a deal with himself. 1 push-up, 1 single push-up, and he could call it a success. It sounded pathetic. It felt too easy. But that was exactly the point. When your goal is 1 push-up, you can't fail. You can do 1 push-up exhausted. You can do 1 push-up sick. You can do 1 push-up on your worst day. And here's what your brain loves: winning. Even tiny wins flood your system with dopamine and build the neural pathways of success. The magic isn't in the 1 push-up. The magic is that once you start, you usually do more. But even if you don't, even if you only do 1, you've still won. You've kept the streak alive. You've proven to yourself that you're someone who follows through. This is why mini habits work when motivation fails. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. They come and go like weather. But a goal so small you can't say no? That's a system. That's
That's a guarantee. So here's your challenge. Pick one habit you've been struggling with. Now make it stupidly small. Want to read more? Make it 1 page. Want to meditate? Make it 3 breaths. Want to write? Make it 50 words. Make it so small that not doing it would be harder than doing it. Make it so small that your brain has no ammunition for resistance. Because the goal isn't to do something impressive today. The goal is to become someone who never misses. And that person changes everything.
Sarah stared at her running shoes every morning for 3 months. They sat by the door, laces perfectly tied, mocking her. She'd promised herself she'd run 5 miles daily. By February, she hadn't run once. Then she changed one thing. She promised herself she'd put on 1 shoe. Just 1. Sounds ridiculous, right? But Stephen Guise understood something most productivity gurus miss. The system matters more than the goal. And his 8 rules aren't suggestions. They're the architecture that makes mini habits actually work. Let's start with the rule that saved Sarah. Never ever increase your mini habit based on motivation. Here's what happened. Day 1, Sarah put on 1 shoe. Easy. Day 2, she felt great, so she put on both shoes. Day 3, she walked around the block. By day 7, that old voice whispered, "You're on a roll. Why not just do the full 5 miles?" And that's the trap. Guise calls this the motivation death spiral. When you increase your habit because you feel motivated, you're teaching your brain that motivation is required. But motivation is like weather. It comes and goes. The moment it rains, you're done. Rule number 1, your mini habit stays mini. Forever. Even when it feels too easy. Especially when it feels too easy. Now rule 2, celebrate every single win like you just crossed a finish line. Sarah would put on that 1 shoe and literally fist pump. Her roommate thought she'd lost it. But Guise knew something neuroscientists have proven. Your brain doesn't distinguish between big and small victories when it releases dopamine. When you celebrate putting on 1 shoe with the same energy as running a marathon, your brain codes the behavior as successful. You're literally rewiring your reward system. 1 shoe, celebration. 1 push-up, victory dance. 1 sentence written, you're a champion. This isn't positive thinking fluff. This is behavioral engineering. Rule 3 might be the most counterintuitive. Track completion, never track results. Sarah kept a calendar, but she didn't track miles run or calories burned. She tracked one thing. Did she put on the shoe? Yes or no? Check or blank. Because here's what happens when you track results. You teach yourself that the behavior only matters if it produces something. But some days you'll write 1 sentence and it'll be garbage. Some days you'll do your 1 push-up and feel weak. If you're measuring results, those days feel like failures. But if you're tracking completion, every day you do the behavior is a perfect success. The chain of checks grows longer, and that chain becomes its own motivation, something Guise calls visual momentum. The other 5 rules work in harmony with these core 3. Be happy with slow growth because you're building identity, not checking boxes. Reward yourself for effort, not outcomes. Focus on starting rather than finishing. If you feel resistance, make it smaller. And remember, missing 1 day is just weather. The system continues. 6 months after starting her 1 shoe habit, Sarah ran her first half marathon. But here's what matters more. She never increased her mini habit. It stayed at 1 shoe. Some days, that's all she did. Other days she'd naturally do more. But the requirement never changed. Because the 8 rules aren't about tricking yourself into doing more. They're about removing the psychological weight that makes you do nothing. They're about building a system so frictionless that failure becomes harder than success. The rules aren't restrictions, they're liberation. And that 1 shoe, it's still sitting by Sarah's door, still her only requirement. Still putting itself on, 1 morning at a time.
Imagine you're standing in front of a giant marble staircase. Each step towers above your head, impossibly high. You know where you want to go, the top, but just looking at that first step makes your legs feel like lead. Now imagine someone walks up and places a small wooden stool in front of you, just 6 inches high. You could step on that, couldn't you? This is exactly what happened to Marcus, a 38-year-old architect who hadn't exercised in 5 years. He tried everything. Gym memberships, workout plans, fitness apps, all failures. Then he tried something ridiculous. 1 push-up per day. just one. His friends laughed. His wife looked confused. But Marcus understood something they didn't. He wasn't building a workout routine. He was building a stepping stool. So let's build your stepping stool, your mini habit blueprint. Step 1, choose your stupid small habit. And I mean stupid small. If you want to write a book, your mini habit isn't write for 30 minutes. It's write 50 words. Want to read more? Not read a chapter. Read 2 pages. The key question, what's so small you'd feel silly not doing it? Marcus chose 1 push-up because even on his worst day, sick, exhausted, defeated, he could drop and do 1 push-up. That's your target. If there's any day you might skip it, it's too big. Make it smaller. Step 2, attach it to an anchor. Marcus made a fascinating choice. He didn't pick morning or night. He attached his 1 push-up to making coffee. Every single time he pressed the button on the coffee maker, he dropped and did his push-up while the machine gurgled. The coffee became his trigger, his reminder, his anchor in reality. Your anchor should be something that already happens every day without fail. Brushing your teeth, opening your laptop, sitting down for lunch. The anchor isn't there to motivate you. It's there to remind you when motivation has completely vanished. Step 3, remove every obstacle between you and action. Marcus kept workout clothes on his bedroom floor, not in a drawer, on the floor. He removed the 12 seconds it would take to find them. What friction can you eliminate? If your mini habit is 2 pages of reading, keep the book on your pillow. If it's writing 50 words, keep a notebook open on your desk with a pen on top. We fail not because we lack willpower, but because we've built obstacle courses between ourselves and success. Step 4, track it visibly. Marcus didn't use an app. He used a wall calendar and a red marker. Every day he did his 1 push-up. He drew a giant X. He could see his streak from across the room. After 2 weeks, that chain of red X's became more motivating than anything else. The thought of breaking it? Unbearable. Use paper, not apps. Make it visual. Make it physical. Make it impossible to ignore. Now here's what Marcus discovered after 60 days of 1 push-up. He was doing 30 push-ups. Not because he had to, because once he dropped to the floor, once he'd done that stupid small single push-up, his brain whispered, well, we're already down here. That's the secret blueprint. The stool becomes stairs. But it only works if you build the stool first. So right now, choose your mini habit. Make it so small it feels laughable. Choose your anchor. Remove your obstacles. Prepare your tracking method. Because 6 months from now, someone's going to ask you how you transformed your life, and you're going to smile and say, 1 tiny step at a time. The question isn't whether you can climb the marble staircase. The question is, will you place the stool?
Sarah stared at her running shoes by the door. For 3 weeks now, she'd kept her promise. 1 push-up every single day. Just 1. That's all her mini habit required. But something strange started happening on day 4. After she dropped down and completed her single push-up, her arms just kept going. 2 push-ups, then 5. By week 2, she was regularly doing 20, sometimes 30. But here's the key. She never had to. This is what Stephen Guise calls the bonus reps phenomenon, and it's the secret weapon that makes mini habits devastatingly effective. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to push a massive boulder up a hill. Getting it moving requires enormous effort. But once it's rolling, even slightly, momentum takes over. The hardest part isn't keeping it moving, it's that initial push. Mini habits are designed to be that tiny initial push, nothing more. But what happens next is where the magic lives. When Sarah got down on the floor for her 1 required push-up, she'd already overcome the real obstacle, not physical strength, mental resistance. That voice that says, I don't feel like it, or I'm too tired, or I'll do it later. By making the requirement so small, it was ridiculous to refuse. She'd silenced that voice. And once she was down there, once her muscles were engaged and her body was in motion, doing more felt natural, effortless, even. The resistance was gone. Here's why this matters. Traditional habit advice tells you to push through resistance, to rely on motivation, to force yourself to do the full workout, write the full chapter, practice for the full hour. But resistance is exhausting, willpower depletes, and eventually, you crack. The bonus reps phenomenon flips this entirely. Instead of fighting resistance, you sidestep it. You make the commitment so small that resistance doesn't even show up to the battle. And then, only then, when there's no pressure, no obligation, no shoulds or musts weighing on you, your brain and body naturally want to continue. It's like being told you can only eat one potato chip. Suddenly, having more becomes easy because the pressure is off. You're not failing if you stop at one, you're succeeding. Everything beyond that is pure bonus. But here's the deeper truth. Those bonus reps aren't really bonuses at all. They're the real goal disguised as extras. Sarah didn't actually want to do one push-up per day for the rest of her life. She wanted to build a fitness habit, but her brain would have revolted against workout every day. By hiding the real goal behind an absurdly small requirement, she'd hacked her own resistance. And the bonus reps, they happened about 70% of the time. Some days, she really did just do one, and that was perfectly okay, because she'd still won. That's the sustainable momentum mini-habits create. You're not white-knuckling your way through false motivation. You're building genuine, pressure-free consistency. And consistency, even tiny consistency, compounds into transformation. So if you've been struggling to build a habit, ask yourself, what's your boulder? What's the massive, overwhelming version you've been trying to push uphill? And what would it look like to make it so small, so laughably tiny, that you can't help but succeed? Because once you're in motion, even barely in motion, the bonus reps will come. Not because you have to do them, but because you want to.
Sarah stared at her running shoes by the door. For 37 days straight, she'd run at least 1 minute. 1 single minute. But today, standing in her kitchen at 11:47 p.m., exhausted from a 12-hour workday, she felt something dangerous creeping in. A whisper that said, "What's the point? 1 minute is ridiculous. It's not even real exercise." This is the moment where most people quit, not because they can't do the habit, but because they convince themselves it doesn't matter. Let me tell you what happened next, because Sarah's story reveals the 3 obstacles that kill many habits and how to defeat them. The first obstacle is what I call the ambition trap. You start to feel embarrassed by how small your habit is. You see others running marathons while you're celebrating 1 push-up. Your ego screams that you should be doing more. Here's the truth that saved Sarah that night. The size of your habit and the size of your results live in different universes. Sarah didn't put on those shoes to run 1 minute. She put them on to become the kind of person who never breaks promises to herself. That 1 minute was a vote for her identity. 40 votes, 50 votes, 100 votes. That's how you become someone new. Think of it like a tiny crack in a massive dam. The water doesn't care how small the crack is. It only cares that it's there every single day, making the opening wider. The second obstacle hit Sarah on day 52. She forgot completely. Didn't remember until the next evening. Panic set in. The streak was broken. This is where the all-or-nothing mindset destroys people. They think, well, I missed a day, so it's over. Might as well quit. But here's what the research shows. Missing 1 day has almost 0 impact on habit formation. Missing 2 days in a row? That's when the danger begins. Sarah did something brilliant. She didn't spiral. She didn't punish herself. She simply did 2 minutes the next day. 1 for today, 1 symbolic minute to close the gap. Then she moved forward. No drama, no shame, just continuation. The third obstacle is the quietest killer, long-term boredom. Month 4, month 6, month 10, the mini-habit becomes invisible. There's no celebration anymore, no novelty, no dopamine hit. This is actually the victory moment in disguise. When your mini-habit becomes boring, it means it's becoming automatic. It's transferring from your conscious mind to your unconscious. Sarah stopped thinking about whether she'd run. She just ran. Some days 1 minute, some days 20. But the decision itself disappeared. Here's the paradox. The moment a habit feels too easy, too small, too boring, that's when it's working. You're not building discipline anymore. You're building identity. So when you face these obstacles, and you will, remember this. Resistance doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're at the threshold of change, and your old self is fighting to survive. The person who does 1 push-up when they feel like doing 0, that person is stronger than someone who does 50 when they feel motivated. Consistency at your lowest moment is worth more than intense intensity. Sarah is on day 320 now. Some days she runs 5 miles, some days still just 1 minute. But she hasn't missed twice in a row. Not once. She didn't transform because she became a runner. She became a runner because she transformed into someone who keeps tiny promises. That's the real habit, not the action, the promise keeping. And that skill, that changes everything. Sarah used to laugh at herself in the mirror, not in a good way. For 3 years, she told people she was trying to get healthy, but the gym membership collected dust and the running shoes stayed in their box. Then one Tuesday in March, she did 1 push-up, just 1, against her kitchen counter, not even on the floor. And the next day, she did it again. 6 months later, Sarah's doing full workouts 5 days a week. But here's what's strange. She can't pinpoint when she became a person who exercises. There was no lightning bolt moment, no motivational speech that changed everything. Instead, something far more powerful happened. Something that happens when you stop trying to be a different person overnight, and instead you start proving to yourself in the smallest possible way that maybe, just maybe, you already are. This is the hidden magic of mini habits. They don't just change what you do. They dissolve the wall between who you are and who you want to be. Think about it like this. Imagine your identity as a courtroom, and you're both the defendant and the jury. For years you've been declaring, I'm not a writer, I'm not athletic, I'm not disciplined. And every day you don't write, don't exercise, don't follow through, that's evidence. The jury sees it. Case closed. But mini habits flip the script. Suddenly, you write 1 sentence, and that's evidence for the other side. You do 1 push-up, evidence. You read 2 pages, evidence. At first, the pile is tiny, laughable even. 1 sentence? That doesn't make you a writer, except it literally does. You wrote, therefore you are someone who writes. And when you do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, the evidence compounds. Not just in your notebook or your fitness tracker, but in the deepest part of your brain where your identity lives. The jury starts to shift. The verdict begins to change. Within weeks, you stop debating whether you'll do your mini habit. It becomes automatic, beneath conscious thought, like brushing your teeth. But here's where it gets beautiful. Once the habit is invisible, it starts to grow on its own. Sarah's 1 push-up became 2, then 5, then a full routine. Not because she forced it, but because her identity had shifted. She wasn't someone trying to exercise it. She was someone who exercised, and that person naturally did it. The compound effect isn't just about the habit stacking. It's about you transforming cell by cell, day by day, into the evidence of your own repeated action. A year from now, you won't remember the exact day you became a reader, a writer, a healthy person, someone who meditates. You'll just look back and realize, somewhere along the way, without fireworks or fanfare, you became the person you were trying so hard to be. And it all started with something so small, you almost didn't bother. That's the ultimate promise of mini habits. Not motivation, not willpower, not transformation through force, but transformation through accumulation, through improvement, through showing up so consistently in such a tiny way that even the most stubborn part of your brain has no choice but to admit, this is who you are now. So start smaller than feels significant. Start so small it feels ridiculous. Because ridiculous is often the only thing small enough to slip past your resistance and actually get done. And once it's done, you're no longer the person who doesn't. You're the person who does. Everything else is just mathematics.